Breaking news coming in the last couple of minutes. CM Punk has been fired by AEW. All Elite Wrestling and Tony Khan have released a statement confirming that CM Punk's employment contract with All Elite Wrestling has been terminated. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of All Elite Wrestling. And after a week of speculation after the backstage altercation between himself and Jack Perry backstage at All In London at Wembley Stadium, Tony Khan and AEW have just released a statement confirming that CM Punk is gone from All Elite Wrestling. His employment contract has been terminated. As I mentioned at the time of recording this, the statement's just been released in the last few minutes, so we're kind of getting more details on this. As we get more details, we'll let you know in future videos. But let's get straight to the statement that was released by Tony Khan in addition to All Elite Wrestling as well. It came off their Twitter page. You can see it right there. It's been sent to all of the various media as well. You can see it on the screen. It says, and I quote, "Statement from All Elite Wrestling and Tony Khan. All Elite Wrestling, AEW, has terminated the wrestler and employment agreements between Phillip Brooks, CM Punk, and AEW with cause effective immediately. The termination was confirmed today by Tony Khan, CEO, General Manager, and Head of Creative of AEW. The termination follows a week-long internal investigation of an incident occurring backstage at AEW All in London on Sunday, August 27. Following the investigation, the AEW Discipline Committee met and later convened with outside legal counsel before making a unanimous recommendation to Khan that CM Punk be terminated with cause. Khan offered the following statement saying, quote, "Phil played an important role within AEW and I thank him for his contributions. The termination of his AEW contracts with cause is ultimately my decision and mine alone. Of course, I wish I didn't have to share this news, which may come as a disappointment to many of our fans. Nevertheless, I am making the decision in the best interests of the many amazing people who make AEW possible every week, our talent, staff, venue operators, and many others whose efforts are unsung but essential to bringing our fans great shows on television and at arenas and stadium throughout the world." So it's a pretty short statement, pretty short quote from Tony Khan, but the breaking news is that Phillip Brooks, CM Punk, the real world champion from AEW, is gone. He has been fired. His employment contract has been terminated with cause, which again is a very important part there from an HR point of view. If there is cause, gross misconduct, whatever you want to call it, they feel comfortable enough that they can fire CM Punk, they can terminate his contract without the threat of legal ramifications coming back from CM Punk himself. Now, we have kind of covered this all week, and just if you're not really familiar with the sort of circumstances surrounding all of this, this has to do with the backstage altercation between CM Punk and Jack Perry at AEW All In last weekend. Now, CM Punk and Jack Perry had an altercation backstage at All In. Initially, details were quite few and far between as to what happened, but it was first reported by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select that Jack Perry and CM Punk had an altercation shortly before CM Punk went to the ring for his match at All In, the opening match on the show for the Real World Championship against Samoa Joe. Of course, Jack Perry was right on just before him on the AEW All In 0 Hour pre-show, and he did a spot on a car window and said, quote, "It's real glass, cry me a river." Now, this was a shot at CM Punk, who had a confrontation at an AEW Collision taping over the summer over Jack Perry's insistence on using real glass for a spot on the show. Now, initially, it came out that Perry wasn't happy with how the situation was relayed publicly by those close to CM Punk. Now, what was quite interesting is the first kind of side of things that came out about this was CM Punk's perspective, CM Punk's side of things, and that was that he claimed that Jack Perry approached CM Punk backstage and stepped in his face and bumped CM Punk. That was the quote, bumped Punk. Punk was said to have then pushed Perry. Perry allegedly came at Punk and got choked. Now, at the time, we didn't really know the kind of choke or anything like that. Miro very quickly then went onto social media, of course. He quote tweeted Wrestle Purist's news aggregation of Fightful Select story at the time and said it was, quote, fake and untrue. And other versions alleged that Punk actually threw a punch and that actually Punk was the one who initiated things. Other accounts claim that Punk initiated things. They exchanged words. Punk got in Perry's face and pie-faced him. Punk then allegedly grabbed Perry in a front face lock and it was broken up. So that was kind of what happened initially at the time. Now, it was then reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter this week that there were kind of two other versions as to what had really happened about this. The first was kind of what Jack Perry had kind of perceived things, how they had happened, his version of events. Now, his version of events of the All In incident was that Jack Perry had told people that after his match, CM Punk came up to him with a lot of people around and said, "Do we have a problem?" Jack Perry said no. Perry then said to Punk that he said stuff that got online about him, and that line using the term "Cry Me a River." Punk then said words to the effect of, "You know I could F you up at any time, right?" He then pie-faced Perry and tried to put him in a guillotine, and also he threw some punches while Perry grabbed Punk's arm to try and keep him from locking in the move. Samoa Joe came in and quickly broke it up. That was something that was kind of reported unanimously throughout this entire process, that Samoa Joe was integral in breaking it up, trying to maintain peace. It was actually Samoa Joe who had calmed CM Punk down to get their match to actually happen inside the ring. There was scrambling going around from a production point of view. They didn't know if the pay-per-view was going to start on time or what the match order was going to be. They had asked that the Golden Elite Trios match maybe go on first. They'd asked the Young Bucks and FTR if they'd be ready to go on first. They said they wouldn't. So there was a lot of scrambling around as to what was going on. Now, in addition to Jack Perry's version of events and CM Punk's version of events, there was another version of events from an eyewitness who reportedly is not a wrestler, once again coming from Meltzer, and their version of the CM Punk Jack Perry incident was that right after Perry came to the back, CM Punk went nose to nose with him aggressively and asked him if they had a problem. Perry said he was just looking to get heat as a heel. Punk then, according to this witness, shoved him hard. Perry got in his face. Punk sucker punched him and went for a choke. People immediately broke it up, and Tony Khan was reportedly yelling at Punk to let him go. Once they were separated, Punk lunged in Khan's direction, but a number of people got in his way while Punk was yelling, "I quit." Monitors were reportedly knocked down during all of this, and Samoa Joe was very upset about the matter as well. Now, it was also then reported, because you get a lot of people saying, well, is there any footage of what happened? Is there any, footage? Did anyone record what happened? Well, it was then actually later on reported by Nick Houseman from House of Wrestling that because of a stadium and a building the size that Wembley Stadium is, there was plenty of CCTV actually recording at the time, security camera footage. So footage as well did exist of this incident, as well as all of these eyewitnesses actually witnessing what happened at the time. So AEW would use that in their investigation too. It had come out later on that both were suspended pending this internal investigation, and Tony Khan later confirmed as much during the All Out media call. We'll get back to that in just a second. One kind of wrinkle into the suspensions was that there was kind of confusion on the part of CM Punk, because reportedly there had been no direct communication between Tony Khan and CM Punk since All In, and he didn't even know that he was suspended. It then later came out that Punk did find out that he was suspended actually via the internet, and then via his lawyer, who informed Punk that he had indeed been suspended by All Elite Wrestling. Tony Khan reportedly had been on the receiving end of a verbal sort of shouting match with CM Punk prior to actually possibly this incident happening as well, with CM Punk, according to Wade Keller from PW Torch, verbally berating the AEW president and using some very strong language. Once again, it was then reported by Keller that he wasn't sure if the AEW president and CM Punk's relationship could ever recover, and it was actually beyond the point of no return, which may factor into as to why CM Punk has been terminated in this manner, because of not only the incident but also his behavior prior to the incident as well. That might also be a part of this too. Now, Tony Khan was on the All Out media call just a few days ago, and people, rightfully so, were asking about CM Punk's status for tomorrow at All Out. Of course, it's in Chicago, it's at the United Center, and Tony Khan wouldn't commit to saying whether or not CM Punk would be there, but he did say that he hoped to have a resolution, and he did say he hoped to have information as to CM Punk's status for the event prior to Collision, of course, which again is taking place tonight at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois, as well as prior to AEW All Out, which is taking place in the same building, in the same town, which happens to be CM Punk's hometown. So that's the latest and developing news when it comes to this. I am sure, as has been the case for the last 7 days, there will be a lot of fallout to this incident. There'll be a lot of reaction internally, externally. There'll be some reaction from CM Punk as well as to what his future is in pro wrestling now moving forward. It's certainly not in AEW. What are your thoughts on this breaking news? What are your thoughts on the fact that CM Punk has been terminated by AEW? He has been fired by Tony Khan. Where do you think his future lies? Do you think there's any possibility of him going to WWE? And how do you think AEW reacts to this moving forward? Is this a good thing for AEW or is it a bad thing for AEW? What is the reaction going to be tonight at Collision at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois? What's the reaction going to be moving forward? And what's the future of AEW Collision, the CM Punk show, moving forward as well? How does AEW react to that? What do you think Warner Bros. Discovery thinks? Let me know all your thoughts on all of those big questions in the comment section below. And as I mentioned, guys, stay tuned. Not only have we got a Payback watch along and post show coming tonight, but we've got plenty more news about this big, developing, breaking news story.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.